Hello everyone. Today I'm going to show you how to download, install, and use the eLocust3m app. This is an app that was developed by FAO and Penn State University to allow you to enter locust survey and control data when you're in the field. So let's get started. First I'm going to tap on Play Store on my desktop here. And then at the top I'm going to search for eLocust3m, so I have to type that word in, and I press the search. And there you see at the top of the list, eLocust3m. So I tap that, and then there's a green button that says Install, and I will tap the green button. And now I'm waiting for it to download. Depending on how fast my internet connection is, it may download rather quickly, or it might be a bit slow. In general, it should take about a minute. After it's downloaded and installed, then it's going to give you a button here. It's green that says Open. So I tap Open. And it asks me then, should the app take photos and record video? I will say Allow. Should it access photos, media, and files on your mobile phone? I will say Allow. And then should it also access the mobile phone's location? So this is very important for your GPS coordinates. So I will tap Allow. Okay, after I've done that, now I come to the Plant Village registration or login page. So here it's asking for my mobile number and a password. But of course, since I just downloaded the app now, I'm a brand new user, I need to register first before I can use the eLocust3m app. So I'm going to tap on Register Now. And it asks me a few questions here. First, my name. So I'm just going to give a name here, Test Demo Today. Okay. And I'm going to give, indicate my mobile telephone number here. Okay, and then I'm going to create my own password. Make sure that you create a password that you remember. If you forget this password, you're going to have to sign up and register for a brand new account again. Okay, so now after I've entered my name, my mobile number, my password 2 times, now I'm going to tap Sign Up. Okay, and now you can see you've created an account, okay, and you're logged in, and it takes you immediately to the home page, and you can see that at the top it says Home. And then also at the top on the right hand side you can see your GPS position. Okay, and this is very important. If you don't see that, then you know something is wrong with the GPS on your mobile phone. Okay, now remember, in order to register, we needed to have an internet connection. Okay, we also, in order to open the app, we needed to have an internet connection. Once the app is open, then you don't need an internet connection anymore. So this means before you go out in the field in the morning, when you still have internet connection in your town, in your home, in your office, then you should make sure that you've started the app. Okay? There's no reason to log out of the app. Always keep the app open. But of course, if you turn off your phone, restart your phone, then you will need to open that app again, and that will need an internet connection. Okay, outside of that time, then you don't need internet connection anymore. Okay, now you may be in a country like Kenya here. When you go to the home screen, in fact, you see some updates of information here. So here we can see the July 4th, 2020 update. This is a map showing the locust survey records. If you tap on it, you can see it a little bit bigger, and you see some text here down at the bottom. And if you want, you can, with your 2 fingers, you can zoom in by stretching those 2 fingers out, just like you do on your mobile phone, and you can see the colored dots where the locusts are. And if you pinch in, then you're zooming back in. Okay. Now, down at the bottom, you can see various options. So there's the Home, All Reports, Chat, and Settings. So if I tap on the Home, okay, we're back to the home where we started. Okay. Now, some countries may not have maps when you go to the home. Do not worry about that. FAO is still implementing this with Penn State University. So if we tap on all reports, okay, this is the page where it shows all of our reports. Now, we have not entered any reports yet, so it doesn't find any reports, okay? So any reports that you've already entered, you will see them here. But we're going to do a new report. So if you look down towards the bottom here, you will see an item that says New Report. So tap on that New Report, okay? And the new report opens up. Now, notice what happens here. Automatically, your country is selected, Kenya, okay? Automatically, we have today's date, okay? And we have the name of our location, which happens to be Marsabit County, okay? Now, you can tap on Marsabit County, and you can change that location name if you want. Maybe you want to say Marsabit, and then perhaps the name here. So let's just make a name here. I will invent something, Il Kef. Okay? When you're done typing that, then you can tap the blue check mark, and that's kept it in there. Take your finger and you can just scroll up and down the page. Here we see the GPS coordinates. Remember, these are automatic from your phone. You cannot change them. You also see your altitude. Okay, you cannot change that. And you can see the accuracy of the GPS. So this is very good accuracy. It's 1 meter. Sometimes you'll see 10 meters. Sometimes you'll see 100 meters. Sometimes you'll see 1,000 meters or more. Of course, the larger the number, the less accurate, the less precise your position is in the field. Okay, this depends on a number of factors, on the type of mobile phone you have, the type of GPS inside, also where you are in your country. Okay, so the first thing we do is if locusts are present, we should select the type of locust. And here we have a list of the types of locusts. Okay, so you can see we have hatching, hopper, hopper group, hopper band, adult group, immature, adult group, mature, immature swarm, mature swarm, copulating or laying, flying or no locusts. So now sometimes there will be more than one stage at a location, so you can tap as many of these checkboxes as there are the types of locusts that you see in the field. If you don't see any locusts, then down at the bottom you would tap no locusts. Now, here comes a question. What do these different stages look like? So let me just to show you that. Okay, so I'm going to just open a document here. It says locust types. Okay, so here are those same names. Okay, and I will zoom in a little bit so you can see. So hatching, of course, is just when the hoppers are coming out of the ground from those eggs. And you will see them. They're very kind of clear color. You may often miss them because they're very small to see. They're smaller than your fingernail. Now, if this was solitarious breeding, then those hoppers that you will see in the field, they will be green. So that's the hopper green category. Okay? But if those hoppers are gregarious, they've been laid by swarms, then they will be a different color. Okay? They will be this kind of black and yellow color. Okay? Now, those hoppers that are gregarious, they may be in small groups, and you can see a photo here, or they'll be in larger, denser bands. So if you see them, of course, in hopper bands, you would indicate here a hopper band, black-yellow. Okay? Now, if you don't see any green hoppers, then you don't mention green hoppers. You only indicate the hopper band. Okay? Similarly with the adults, solitarious adults are brown, like the color of the ground or the desert. Okay? Gregarious adults are two different colors. Okay? They will be, down here you can see, a pinkish color if they're immature, or a yellow color if they're mature. Okay? So again, if you see groups of immature adults, they would be kind of a pink-brown color, okay? And you would indicate adult group immature. If you see kind of yellow-brown adults that are grouping together, these would be mature, and so you would indicate adult group mature. However, if you see a swarm, if you see pink adults, remember that's these guys here, these pink adults all together, then you would indicate that's an immature swarm. If you see yellow, bright yellow adults together, then this would be a mature swarm, okay? And there you can see a picture of what an immature and a mature swarm looks like. The immature is flying, for example. The mature one here is settled on the ground, okay? Now, in addition, you may see the mature adults copulating, so you see two adults on top of each other, or you may see the female laying in the ground, her abdomen digging deep into the soil to lay her eggs. Okay, in that case, you would indicate copulating or laying. And lastly, maybe you only will see flying adults. So in this case, you would just simply say flying. Okay, if you can see that it's a pink-colored adults flying, then you would say immature swarm and flying. So that would be flying overhead. Or if you see yellow adults flying, then you would say that's a mature swarm flying. Okay? So it's very important to know your locust types and not to enter the wrong locust type. And remember here, this app is only being used for desert locusts. So please do not enter information about tree locusts. They will be looking like a different color and a different shape, or grasshoppers. And you know there's many different types of grasshoppers in different colors and shapes. But this app is only for desert locusts. Okay, let us go back now to our app. Okay, and so let's imagine that we saw an immature swarm and we saw that it was flying. Okay, now in addition to that, let's say that we also saw some copulating and laying adults, and in fact that they were mature. Okay, and in addition to that, we saw some hoppers. We saw a hopper band. Okay, so here at this particular site, there's a lot of activity going on. Okay, now if you decide, oh no, wait a minute, I didn't see that immature swarm or flying, then you can untick those two items. So now at this stage, you only see mature swarm and copulating and laying, and you see hopper band. There's my hopper band. So if you're happy with you recording everything that you saw at this location, you say okay. And there we have our three types of locusts have been selected. Now remember, in those three types here, we saw hopper band. Okay, so if we come down here, we should indicate the hopper instar. And remember, there's 5 instars. The first, second, third, fourth, and fifth. And each instar becomes bigger and bigger. So what do these instars look like? Okay, let me just switch out of the app. Okay, at the hopper instars. So here are the hopper instars, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you can see how they become bigger. Notice at about the third instar, you start to see a little knob, what we call a wing bud, just behind the neck of the locust, before the stomach. Okay, this eventually become the wings of the adult. You don't see those in the first and second instar. Okay, and look at the fifth instar here, the biggest one. You can see that wing bud is quite big. Okay, so here's what they look like. So I'll zoom in here. You can see the hatching. Okay, that's the first instar. As soon as they hatch, they become the first instar. Here is the second instar, a little bit bigger. A third instar, a little bit bigger with the wing bud. The fourth instar here, you can see again with the wing buds. And then the fifth instar, you can see that very clearly, the wing bud. And notice the colors of the hoppers. Okay, when they're gregarious, they will be yellow and black. Okay, when they're solitarious, they will only be green. Okay, and when they're in between this phase, not fully solitarious or not gregarious, they will be a mixture of green and black. Okay, so that's an example here of a green and black transience, what we call in between solitarious and gregarious. Okay. All right, so let us go back to our app here. And let's say that we saw third and fourth instar hoppers there. Okay, so now we have the locust type and the hopper instar. Now the question is, how big is that area that you've been looking in? And so you try to estimate with your eye how many hectares that is. I will say 2 hectares, and I will tap that. Okay, and then the question is, did you do control operations at this location now? We're not talking about yesterday. We're not talking about tomorrow. We're talking about now, today. So yes or no. So we tap yes. If we say yes, then this area up above that, that's the area that's treated. Okay? If we say no, then that area up above is the area that we just found the locus in, the infested area. Now, if you have any other things you would like to mention, you can write some comments here. You have only 25 characters, so please do not write long stories, okay? And write important information. So here I might say veg space green, okay? And then I might say soil space moist. Okay, so here I'm trying to say that the annual vegetation is green at this location and the soil is moist. Okay, so when I'm happy with that, then I can simply just tap the down arrow here on the left side to make the keyboard go down. Okay, and you see my comments. Okay, now indeed the other thing before you can do is that you must send a picture with your report. This is very important. Okay, without such a picture, we cannot determine the accuracy of this report. Okay, so first let's you need to line up in the field somewhere to take a good picture of a locus if there's locus present. Now, if there's not any locus present, for example, then you may want to take a good picture of, let's say, some of the habitat that might be good for locusts. Okay, so let us take a picture here of a locust that are present. Make sure that when you take the picture, it must be very clear. So I say upload image or video. I've tapped it. Okay, I'm going to use my camera. Please use the camera. Okay, and I'm going to take an image. Okay, when you're happy with the image, okay, then you can tap on the check mark. Okay, and now you can see the image below is on your report. Okay, so now you've finished entering all the data. You have a photo that you're uploading. Now you can submit the report. So when you tap on submit, okay, it will say that it's going to save the report to your device, and then if you have connectivity, it will immediately send that report. If you don't have connectivity, it will keep it in your phone until you reach an area where you have a connection, and then it will automatically be sent. So you don't have to worry about that. So I'm just going to say okay. Okay. Now, if I just to move the keyboard out of the way, I press the down thing. Okay. Now you can see here what has happened. Two things has happened. Is save that report to your phone. Okay. And it's also added that report to the chat. Okay. So remember, there's another function in this app called the chat. So here is all of my information. You can see my name, the country, the date, the location, the latitude, longitude, my locus type, my hopper instar, okay, the area infested. I didn't undertake control because it says false, and there's my photo. So I've added my data and I've shared it in the chat. So everybody in your country can see your own data. Okay, you cannot see data from other countries. Other countries cannot see your data. So just within your own country. So this can be helpful during field operations. Okay, and you can see at the top there it says locus-Ken. So I know I'm in the Kenya chat. Okay, so here if I scroll up and down, you can see the other reports that people have sent, your colleagues. Okay. Now, in the top left, you can press the back arrow, okay? And it goes back to my All Reports page. Okay, remember that's the same page where you press New Report. And look what we have there at the top, huh? We have my report, okay? If I want to see my report, the details, I tap on it. And there it opens up with all of my details of the report, okay? If I press again at the top left, the back arrow, okay, if I was to add a new report down at the bottom, after I finish, you would see that second report there, and so on and so forth. Okay, now, if we go down to the bottom again, remember the third function here, the bottom is chat. So if I press the chat, there we are back in the chat, where we already saw our report was saved there, and we could see everybody else's report. Okay, so in the chat, you can also enter some text messages that you want to send to your colleagues that are also using this app in your country. So this could be messages such as you need pesticide, or you've sighted a swarm, you need a team here. So I will just type a message, send some pesticide. I tap on the blue check, and you can see now that my message has been sent to the chat, so everybody using the eLocust3m app in your country can see this message. Now, the bottom is the settings, and very briefly, the settings you don't really need to worry about at all. Okay, you can see information about your account. You can also, if you have any ideas how to make the app better, you can send us feedback. Okay, you can see information about your GPS. Okay, you will see a lot of technical information. Okay, this is good in case you're having a problem with your GPS. Then you can check here. Okay, let me just tap on settings again. Okay, you can share your app. There's different ways to share your app with other users. Here you also have the possibility to log out. But remember, I highly advise you not to log out. Just stay logged in. Then you don't have to be entering your user or your mobile number and your password every time. Okay? Obviously, after you restart your phone, though, you will have to probably log back in. Okay? So this is all. This is all there is to eLocust3m. Now, before we finish, I would like to give you a lesson, if you still have some time, on desert locusts. Just some very basic information about the biology and behavior of desert locusts. So let me just switch here to another screen. Okay, I have a file here called some basic information. So let's start here. First, breeding and migration. Okay, I'm showing you a map here, and if I zoom in a little bit, you can see that desert locusts generally live in the desert from West Africa to India, and mainly from the Mediterranean down to about Kenya. So Kenya really is the southern part, most southern limit of the desert locusts. And desert locusts, they migrate from breeding area to breeding area during the spring, during the summer, during the winter. Okay, so you can see where these areas are. In the summer, they're mainly in the Sahara Desert and along the border of India and Pakistan. In the winter, they're mainly along the Red Sea coast and Gulf of Aden coast. And in the springtime, they mainly in Northwest Africa, Arabia, and in Iran and Southwest Pakistan. Okay. Normally, locusts, they stay in these areas as long as the vegetation, the annual vegetation, is green and the sandy soil is moist. Once it becomes dry and unfavorable, then the locusts will migrate to the next seasonal breeding area. Now, remember that locusts, they live for about 3 months. Eggs hatch after 2 weeks into hoppers. Hoppers is the wingless stage. Hoppers do not fly. Takes them about 6 weeks to develop before they become adults. So after every week, they're shedding their skin, they're molting to become a little bit bigger. After 6 weeks, then they shed their skin for the last time. They get new wings, and it takes a few days for those wings to dry out, and then they have to test them out before they can really fly. Okay? And then it takes the adult about 4 weeks before they're ready to reproduce. After adults copulate and lay eggs, they naturally die. Now, remember that there's, two main phases of desert locusts, solitarious and gregarious. So the solitarious adults, these are individual adults, they fly at night, they fly downwind, so it's the wind that is pushing them, and they fly short distances. Swarms are the opposite. Swarms fly during the day. They fly, of course, always with the wind, and they can fly up to 150 kilometers in one day. Now, swarms will not fly when it's raining, but they will fly when it's cloudy. Now, just to remind you of the life cycle here. Okay, so the life cycle, remember the eggs, so it takes 2 weeks. The hoppers, there's 5 instars of hoppers. It takes 6 weeks for them to develop, and then they fledge, and then they become adults, and it takes 4 weeks for those adults before they're ready to copulate and lay eggs. If we turn to the hopper phases, so normally the hoppers are in solitarious phases, they're individual, and they're a green color, okay? But when there's good breeding conditions, they start to increase in number and they form groups and they change their color and they become green and black. And if those conditions continue to be favorable for an extra generation or two of breeding, they can become gregarious when they're all acting together as one single band, a hopper band, and their color is black and yellow. Now, this phase transformation also occurs in adults. So normally adults are solitarious individuals. They're living in the desert and they're the color of the desert. They're brown, okay? But as the conditions are favorable for increasing in numbers, then after those conditions are favorable, they become defavorable. They're drying vegetation concentrates the locust. They can form groups, okay? And those groups will be kind of a pinkish brown if they're immature, or a yellowish brown if they're mature. Okay. Now again, after several generations of favorable breeding, the locust numbers continue to increase. Then they can become fully gregarious and they form swarms. Remember, the pink adults are immature swarms and the yellow, bright yellow adults are mature swarms. So here's a summary then of the hopper and the adult phases, okay? And it's a combination of the color and the behavior. So when you're in the field, look at the color of the locust and look how they're behaving. If you see that they're green and they're behaving by themselves and it's a hopper, then you know it's solitary. If you see that it's brown and it's behaving as an adult by itself, you know again it's solitary. If you see a mixture of a green and black as a hopper, or kind of a pink and brown or a yellow and brown, and they're forming groups, then you know that's this intermediary stage between solitarious and gregarious. So they're not quite ready to form swarms until they're gregarious. When they're fully gregarious, you will see that the hoppers are black and yellow in color, and the immature adults are pink, and the mature adults are yellow. So remember, keep your eyes and look at how the locusts are behaving, and look how the locusts appear, what color they are. Now the female, she will lay eggs. She will extend her abdomen down to about 15 centimeters under the ground. She will check first to make sure that the soil is sandy and that it's wet enough for her eggs. She will not lay in dry soil, and she will not lay in other types of soil like clay or loam or these things, because it's just too hard for her. She wants sandy soils in open spaces. So here we've already seen the locust types. So remember, the hoppers, the adults, the hopper bands, the adult swarms. Here we have the hopper instars again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And remember, hoppers do not have wings and they cannot fly. And then lastly, this is the daily behavior of the locust. And this is very important when you're doing your survey and control operations. So remember, when there are swarms, okay, those swarms will fly only during the day. So after sunrise, the swarms will be on the ground warming up. They will be facing the sun, so their body will be facing the sun to warm up. This may take an hour or two to warm up. Then they will start to have short flights, and then they will have mass departure. They will all leave around the same time. So this can be around 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock in the morning. They will fly throughout the day. Remember, swarms, they can be these tall swarms, like those cumulus nimbus clouds that you see, those rain clouds, or they can be flat horizontal swarms, what we call stratiform swarms. Okay. At the end of the day, around sunset, they will land because they will spend the night on the ground. They do not fly at night. Okay. They will settle on the ground, and that's when they feed. So they've been flying all day, they're hungry, they come to land at the end of the day, that's when they feed. Okay? When they're finished feeding, they will usually roost off the ground to stay away from predators. So if there's bushes, if there's trees or tall plants or shrubs, they will get up into them, and that's where they spend the night to rest. The next morning, after the sun rises, they come down from where they've been roosting and they warm up again. Okay, so this ends our very brief lesson on how to download, install, and use eLocust3m, and to understand a little bit about locust behavior and biology.